Okay, today on the Cowbridge kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make this. A lasagna. Classic Italian lasagna. Dead simple. Whenever you make a lasagna, you do it in sort of 3 sections, okay? You're going to need to make yourself a bolognese, you're going to need to make yourself a bechamel, and you're also going to need, unless you're going to buy bought-in stuff, you're going to need to make yourself some fresh egg pasta. Mix, and we've got ourselves here about 350 grams of lean minced beef. Okay, we've got 1 tin of Italian chopped tomatoes. We have some passata. We're going to need about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of that passata. 1 brown onion, some lazy garlic, which we're going to chop and mix together. Some smoked paprika. Okay, you really want about 1 tablespoon of that as well. 1 beef stock cube and some tomato ketchup. Okay, so we've got a pan on the stove. We'll get these onions and garlic mixed up, and I'll show you how to get this bolognese going. Okay, so there is our chopped up onion, and what we're going to do is going to pop that into this container, like so, and then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of lazy garlic to that. A little bit of oil, put that in there, a bit of oil as well, mix that in, there we are, and we can set that aside. Our beef stock cube, crumble that into a paste, into a bowl, dish. Smoked paprika, okay, we're going to pop 1 good tablespoon of this now. On top of that oxo. We're going to get about 1 tablespoon now of ketchup. Put that into the mix. Add a splash of hot water. And make that into a paste. So with our pan on the stove, what we're going to do, we're going to get the heat on that. We're going to get a good generous splash of olive oil in there. And get that nice and hot. Okay, so there we are, we have our pan on the stove now, and our oil is nice and hot in there. What we're going to do is we are going to get our mushrooms, our onions and our garlic into there to get that frying off. There we are, our onions and garlic have been steaming off in there now for a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and they're nice and soft. So they're all pretty much ready to continue with this. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to add some flour. Just 1 teaspoon of flour. Yeah, get all that mixed in, and that'll thicken up the oil quite nicely. And onto that then we're going to add our chopped tomatoes, our tin of chopped tomatoes, straight into those onions. There we go. Get the heat back up on that and get that cooking for a few minutes. There we are, so while that's been cooking away, what we're going to add next is 2 tablespoons of passata straight into the pan. 1 and 2. Right. Get that all nicely mixed in, and that's already now starting to smell pretty decent. Okay, there we are. So while that's been cooking away now, okay, it's warmed back up again. We've got the heat back on it. What we can do next is we're going to add our mincemeat. So we just get that in there and we chop all that up, and then we're going to add our flavour mix that we made up earlier to it. Mix it all in, leave it to cook. There we are, so mince straight in now, crumble it all up. Obviously remember to wash your hands after doing this, because it is raw meat at the end of the day. There we are. what we'll do then is we're going to chop all of this up and get it all mixed in. Okay, and on top of that now we've got our mix that we made up with our paprika, ketchup, oxo cube and all of that. Okay, so we're going to pop that into there. Just put that straight in. Now, we'll get that all mixed in. That'll change the colour nicely. There we are. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cover that and leave it cook until the mince is cooked, which will probably take about 15 minutes or so. So with our bolognese now, it's been cooking for about 15 minutes, so I've taken it off the heat and I put it at the back of the stove, left it with a lid on it so it stays nice and warm, okay? You don't really need it to go cold. So while that's sat there, what we're going to do is going to get another small saucepan on the stove, and I'm going to show you how to make up the basic bechamel sauce. Dead simple, need a few simple ingredients, okay, and then we'll turn it into a cheese sauce, and that's going to cook the top of our lasagna. Okay, so I've got the ingredients here. And what we have, I've got myself about 150 grams of grated cheese there. Doesn't really matter what cheese you've used. I've just used cheddar. You're going to want yourself 300 millilitres of milk. Okay, and with this milk, I'm going to pop this in the microwave. Don't want to boil it, just want to get it warm. I want about 50 grams of butter and a few teaspoons of flour. Okay, so let's go over to the pan and I'll show you how to put this together. Okay, so dead simple. We're going to get the heat on our pan. Not too high, and we're going to get our about 50 grams of butter melted in there. So while that butter's melting in the pan, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this off the cuff, okay? I'm not going to use any particular amount of measurements, I'm just going to do it in the pan. Alright, and you can do the same thing, it's dead simple. Just put a little bit in at a time. Okay, so once that's melted now, I'm going to start adding my flour, and hopefully my milk will be ready, and then we'll start sort of getting that to the right consistency. There we are, so our butter is nicely melted, and our milk is nice and warm. Okay, so what we're going to do with this now, I'm just going to add some flour to this, okay, as I go. So I'm going to start with 2 teaspoons, good heaped teaspoons of flour. I'm going to mix that in, and we need to get this into a nice thick paste. Yeah, not enough, so we stick another 2 in. Yeah, so I've put 4 heaped teaspoons of flour into there. And there we are. And that's gone to a pretty decent looking paste. There we are, so at this stage now you're going to start adding your milk. Don't add it all, add a bit at a time, okay? Quarter at a time. Mix it in, and you'll see how that sauce starts to thicken. Yeah, I've added just over half of the milk now. Get the heat up. Yeah, need to add more of that. So I'll add another splash. And just keep stirring this now, and it'll keep thickening. It'll keep thickening back on you until it's at the consistency that you want it for a bechamel. There we are. I mean, that's not too bad. You know, I mean, probably the 300 is going to do it. So I'll put the whole 300 mils in there. Mix that up. If this does go too thick, what you can always do is you can just add a splash more milk to it until you got it right. And there we are. So what we're going to do at this stage is we're going to add all of our cheese straight into there. And this will thicken it up as well. So if it is a little bit thin for you, this cheese will certainly sort that out. There we are. And there we are, we'll just mix this in for a few minutes now, see what we wind up with. If we need to add a bit more milk to it, we'll add a bit more milk. Yeah, so there, this is still a little bit too thick for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more milk now and just thin it down until I get it about right. Nice bit of heat on that now. And you'll see it going. And it's looking pretty good. It's another little splash maybe. And obviously as that heats up, it'll thicken up. Beautiful. Lovely bechamel sauce. Okay, so with our bechamel made, it's lovely, nice consistency now. It's how I want it. I mean, you can experiment with it a little bit if you want, but that's pretty decent to me. We'll take this off the heat now and just leave that at the back there. with our bolognese, which is also made in the pan. Basically, all that's left to do now is to get this lasagna together. I'm going to use fresh pasta for mine, pasta that I made. And I'm not going to put it in this video because it's just going to drag this video out. It's going to go on for ages. But there is a video available on my channel, or on the website, in fact, showing you how to make your own fresh pasta with some semolina, eggs, flour. It's beautiful. So check that out. What I'll do from now, though, is I'll show you how to put this lasagna together with the fresh pasta and get it in the oven. So for our lasagna now, we've got our bolognese and our bechamel sauce on the stove, still nice and warm. We've rolled out our pasta sheets here, okay, our fresh pasta. Like I said, there is a video there that you can take a look at. So we've got our pasta sheet and we've got our lasagna dish. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pop a little bit of olive oil into this dish, only a splash on the bottom, just to stop it sticking. And coat that. And then you can pop your first lasagna sheet onto the bottom of that dish. Cut it to size if you like, so that it fits perfectly. There we are. And we can take this over to the stove and we can start filling it with our ingredients. Okay, so with the serving spoon we're going to get not too much, just a nice amount of bolognese, and we're going to cover this lasagna sheet with that. Don't want to put too much in there, but just enough to sort of cover the base. There we are. And then what we'll do is we'll take another lasagna sheet and we'll pop that onto the top of there. And then we'll pop another layer of bolognese onto the top of that. Again, not a huge amount, you don't have to go over the top. There we are. And then the last layer, we'll take our last lasagna sheet, pop that on there, so that's all nicely covered. Make sure this is tucked down, otherwise we're going to wind up with burnt corners. There we are. And then what we will do, we will take our bechamel sauce, or our cheese sauce really, and we're going to cover the top of this with that. So it's got a nice coating. I mean, stick as much on as you like. I love this stuff. And you want to get all of that pasta sheet covered. You don't want any exposed. There we are. And once that's all covered, that is ready to go in the oven. And we're going to stick it in the oven about 180, probably for about half an hour, or until that bechamel sauce has gone all nice and brown and got a nice coating on it, nice crust on top of it. Okay, so our oven's on now on 100 to 170, 180. It's a fan oven, so I put it on about 170, okay? If you're not using a fan, stick it on 180. Lasagna is on a tray, ready to go in. So we'll whack that in the oven, give it about 25 minutes, have a little look, half an hour, should be done. Okay, so our lasagna has been cooking for a little over 25 minutes now. I've just had a quick look at it and it's pretty much done. So we'll whip it out of the oven and get it up onto the chopping board.